A very good evening. Thank you very much for being a part of the Uganda Catholic Television. It's a Wednesday, 23rd day of October, 2024. I am Sunday Gloria Aboch with Uctv News, and we are going to dive straight in our bulletin, starting with parents and guardians that have been urged to consistently educate children about HIV/AIDS prevention, especially in an age where unfiltered social media content poses challenges. Uganda AIDS Commission Board Chairperson Dr. Ruth Senyonyi made the call during the launch of the Wear a Red Ribbon campaign ahead of the 2024 National HIV and AIDS Symposium in Kampala, emphasizing concerns over Uganda's struggle to meet its goal of eliminating AIDS by 2030.
In 2017, the President of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, launched the Presidential Fast Track Initiative aimed at eliminating AIDS strictly by 2030, 37 years after registering the very first HIV/AIDS case in the country. Since the launch of the PFTI, the government has made significant strides towards this vision by containing the prevalence of new HIV infections from 68,000 in the 1990s to 38,000 cases today. According to the Uganda AIDS Commission, the country's 2030 vision of eliminating AIDS as a public health threat hangs in balance, as the virus's prevalence among the adolescents, particularly females, remains high, in addition to the annual 4,700 infections among newborn babies.
We had set targets that by 2025, we should have reduced new HIV infections to less than 20,000. So at 38,000, we have not yet reached the target, and we may not be able to hit the target of 2025 of less than 20,000 new HIV infections in a year. And similarly, having 4,700 babies each year acquiring HIV from their infected mothers is still high, considering that the technology is there. We have the drugs, we can test the mothers in time, and we have the counselors. We can support these mothers. And therefore, with all this in place, still seeing 4,700 babies getting infected with HIV is still on the higher side.
Dr. Vincent Bagambe, the acting Director General of the Uganda AIDS Commission, attributes the high prevalence to a number of factors, including multiple sexual relationships among adolescents, suboptimal condom use during high-risk sexual activities, among others.
We see deteriorating behavior towards the risky sexual behaviors. And this, allow me to expound a little bit about this. We see more people engaging in multiple sexual relationships. That's a risky sexual behavior. We see fewer people using condoms. That's a risky behavior, especially if you are engaging in risky sex.
Jacqueline Makoka, the UN AIDS country director, maintains that both Eastern and Southern Africa is still the epicenter of AIDS, and that the female's risk of acquiring the virus is 6 times ahead of the female counterparts, something which underscores the need to renew the concerted efforts in actualizing Uganda's 2030 vision.
Now, when you look at the Eastern and Southern Africa, as we've always told you every year, it is still the epicenter of the HIV epidemic. Young girls in our region of Eastern and Southern Africa are 6 times likely to acquire HIV as compared to their male counterparts. And we know that they are most at risk of not only of HIV, they are also at risk of getting early pregnancy, falling out of school, maternal health complications. And so HIV is not only in isolation, it's interplaying with so many other factors that affect young girls.
It is upon this ground that the board chairperson of Uganda AIDS Commission, Dr. Ruth Senyonyi, urged the parents and guardians to acquaint their children with HIV/AIDS preventive information in the wake of unfiltered social media content proliferation.
And if we are to achieve the goal of ending AIDS as a public health threat, we need to accelerate interventions. There are some areas that we need to focus on, and the first one was ably talked about by the UNAIDS country director. Almost half of new infections are adolescent girls and young women aged between 15 and 24. With the proliferation of media, especially social media, we urge parents, guardians, teachers to talk to your children about HIV/AIDS. I realize that any child who is below the age of 20 may not know much about HIV like I know, because I've seen Fidel Retire that they talked about. We've seen people who have struggled with HIV, but many of these young people have not.
In the spirit of sensitizing and mobilizing the public against the epidemic, Dr. Senyonyi launched a campaign dubbed Wear a Red Ribbon campaign, upon which everyone is compelled to go to an health facility and ascertain their HIV status as the country gears up for the annual National HIV and AIDS Symposium.
It is now my honor to launch the Wear the Ribbon campaign. As we move toward commemoration of World AIDS Day, let us rally all our constituencies, all our people to wear a red ribbon daily in solidarity of those who have been infected and affected by HIV and AIDS.
The annual National HIV and AIDS Symposium is part of the PFTI 5 pillars, aimed at bringing together key stakeholders to take stock of their achievements and also share experience on what worked or never worked. This year's symposium is slated for the 13th day of November at the Office of the President Conference Hall under the theme, Accelerating Interventions to End AIDS by 2030. Joseph Kabale, Uctv News.
The Uganda People's Congress Party has called for an immediate investigation into the deadly fire outbreak in Kigogwa town along Kampala-Bombo Road, where at least 11 people were killed after a fuel tanker overturned on Tuesday afternoon. The tanker, registration number UAM292Q, was en route from Kampala to Gulu when the driver lost control. UPC party spokesperson Sharon Arach Oyat, speaking at the party quarters, criticized the police for their delayed response, raising concerns that require urgent answers. Police are still on site conducting a fact-finding mission to determine the total number of injured individuals.
On a sad note, on Tuesday, the 22nd of October 2024, the country experienced one of the worst fire disaster when a fuel tanker overturned and caught fire after a while, leading to loss of lives and property, while others sustained fatal injuries. It was reported that the driver lost control and the fuel tanker went off the road. UPC sends heartfelt condolences to those that have lost their loved ones in the terrible incident and wishes a quick recovery to those nursing homes in the different health facilities. UPC notes that the area of the accident was supposed to be cordoned off immediately, and this meant that the local leadership and the police in the area had to be at the forefront of restraining people from going near the scene of the accident, as the rapid response units from police and other security agencies to swing into action. However, this was not done. Once this incident happened, the local leaders were almost not there. The police came in later after incident had gone beyond the control. But if an accident happens like that, we expect the rapid response team, including the police agencies, to come out and restrain people. When a fuel tanker falls like that, obviously, we expect people to try to steal some of the fuel, and because of that, they are put in harm's way. Because if the emergency response team was there earlier, they could have minimized or mitigated the loss of life that occurred on that scene, and also the property. Because not everyone that was injured was involved in the theft of the fuel, but because of the explosion of the fuel tank, most of the houses, the neighboring houses closed, children, those who are walking by, all got affected by that explosion. So if this was restrained, probably this truck would have been removed in time to avoid such fatalities. UPC therefore calls for an immediate investigation into the matter, and since it is the life that matters the most, let the government and all stakeholders get involved as quickly as possible to handle the after effects of the Black Tuesday, which include enhanced treatment for those who got injured due to fire bans and decent burials for our departed ones, as well as compensation or financial assistance for those that have been affected.
We are going to take a break. Uctv News will be returning with more stories.
Uctv, good news for all.
Welcome to Seeds of Success. My name is Rwanga Godfrey. Seeds of Success, we talk about business environment.
If you want to be a millionaire, work for money. But billionaires work for wealth.
Social affairs.
Whom to blame via characters and talents? Is it tertiary institutions or humanity within the human beings?
And other topical issues. Don't miss on Uctv, good news for all.
Welcome back. You're watching Uctv News. Now, the Nabagereka of Buganda, Sylvia Najinda, has today welcomed Claudia Bach, the wife of the current president of the International Olympic Committee, Tsobulange Mengo. The two held a private meeting in the Nabagereka's office, after which they toured the Buganda Luchiko main hall and other Buganda developments. Following the meeting, Nabagereka revealed that their discussions focused on education, developmental initiatives under the Nabagereka Development Foundation, with prospects for future collaboration, as Claudia Bach also leads a mental health foundation.
Today I met with the wife of the president of the IOC, and that is the International Olympics Committee, Mrs. Claudia Bach. It was really a courtesy visit. The president himself is around. I think they had, prior to coming to Uganda, they had visited a number of other countries. And so they did come to Uganda as well. And so we talked about different issues, and especially, the development projects the initiatives that we have under the Nabagereka Development Foundation. And our interest, she's a teacher, so the interests were a lot around education and teaching children. She has a mental health foundation initiative, and we also have that. So we really discussed around how we can also collaborate in future.
And finally, from the local scene, His Lordship Dominic Eibu of Kotido Diocese has called on Christians to find strength in the unwavering faith of the Paimol martyrs, Blessed Gildo Ira and Daudi Okelo, whose devotion continues to inspire believers. During the celebration of their feast in Agago District, Gulu Archdiocese, Bishop Eibu praised the martyrs' courage and urged the faithful to remain steadfast in their faith despite life's challenges. The Mass, led by Bishop Eibu and animated by Kotido Diocese, drew a large gathering of Christians who came to honor the two martyrs, remembered for their missionary zeal and ultimate sacrifice in 1918 while spreading the gospel in the northern part of Uganda.
Yeah, Blessed Daudi Okelo and Gildo Ira. They are the martyrs who are not so much known in the Catholic community, even Uganda itself, because their story is not famous like the story of the other martyrs that were martyred in the 1880s. But these ones were martyred in 1918. When, as young confirmed catechists, they had a zeal of fulfilling the mission of Christ. So when the missionaries who were the founders of the church here in this region asked if they are volunteers to come to this place of Paimol, the two young volunteered to come. The priest even, according to the reports that we have inherited, they said that he doubted whether they could come. But zealously, the young men came. And they said that they will be here, where they met their fate and killed here in 1918. So in brief, this is what I could say. There's a long that could be said that needs a lot of time to be convinced of our faith. But what we have embraced in the church through the teachings of the Gospels and the life of the church is a good one and must be taken seriously. Secondly, the portrait was courage. The courage that goes beyond human capacity. That even as young people, it is possible to dare to do something for the common good, for the good of the people. Because all this they did was not for their own, but for the kingdom of God, which they thought it was good for the people here also to know. Thirdly, is to understand well the responsibility that we have as Christians, as baptized persons, that we have something to contribute according to our capacity. For them as young people, they did that. Ours, what will it be? Also, they inspire us to be very simple people that will work with other people in their, according to their status. We have, for instance, the shrine here, the place where they used to socialize with the villagers here, playing the common game in the evenings, chatting with them, and yet teaching them the prayer of the Our Father. So some of these things really they inspire us in simple matters who are beatified recently in 2002. Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching UCTV News. We are going to take a very short break.
UCTV, good news for all.
Radio Purchase, the best value-based community radio in Eastern Africa, running 24/7 with professional staff and solar energy backup of up to 500 kilowatts peak. We rock the whole of northern Uganda and the world using 7 languages on 90.9 FM and 94.5 FM in Arua on Ediofe Hill, 99.7 FM at Moyo on Adua Hill, 101.4 FM at For God in Gulu, and online at www.radiopurchase.org or download the Radio Purchase app from Google Play Store and Apple Store. Radio Purchase, peace of Christ for all.
It's a wrap for the Wednesday edition of UCTV News. I'm Sunday Gloria Aboch. We'll be returning tomorrow, same time, same place. Good night.